Good morning, students. Welcome all of you to today's accountancy class. Today also we are continuing with the chapter theory base of accounting, and the topic today we discuss is accounting standards and GST. So this is the last topic which we want to discuss. Okay, GST also only the characteristics and objectives will discuss. That much only there in this year's syllabus. Okay, and straightly we'll go to what is accounting standards. So first introduction, I tell you, accounting is an information system which provide information to a number of parties such as investors, management, creditors, government, etc. So accounting, we know, already studied, accounting is an information system. We are writing all accounting informations and presenting it to the interested parties or those who want to know about the business. So those parties includes investors, management, then creditors, government, etc. Okay, so whoever prepare the accounting or accounting information, that qualities we want to exhibit or express the better qualitative way we want to express the accounting information. Such information is provided through financial statement, profit and loss account, and balance sheet, and it should depict to true and fair view of the business. Okay, so how we can present the accounting information? So many process we follow: recording, classifying, summarizing, all those process we follow, and finally will reach in the preparation of financial statements. So what are the financial statements of a business is what? Mainly profit and loss account and balance sheet. Profit and loss account to calculate the profit or loss, balance sheet to know the financial position, that is assets and liabilities. Okay, and it should depict true and fair view of the business. So it should be truthful, or it should show or depict what true and fair view of the business, fair view and the truthfulness of the business it should depict. Understood? So that is what everybody is expecting from an accounting system. Okay, so in order to bring uniformity and comparability in financial statements, accounting standards are developed. So here we know that everyone is following different accounting methods, means it is not possible to compare the accounting process or standards. Okay, or accounting system, we cannot compare one business to another business, same line of business. It is not possible if one business is following one method and another business is following another method. That's why some uniformity we have to bring in accounting system. So for that only we developed what? Accounting standards. Okay, so understood, no? Accounting is an information system. That information system provides financial statements. That financial statements and balance sheet and profit and loss account, these are the financial statements which should depict a true and fair view of the concern, and it should be comparable. It should maintain uniformity. So how to maintain uniformity and comparability? If we follow particular method by all the business organizations, so for that purpose we developed what? Accounting standards. Now what do you mean by accounting standards? Accounting standards are the International Accounting Standards Committee, that is known as IASC. So this is developed in international level, came into force on 29th June 1973 to develop accounting standards. So there is an institution which is formed for the development of accounting standards. Okay, so just like other institution, LIC is formed for what? Insurance purpose of life insurance. Bank is for providing banking activities, accepting deposit, lending money, and all other allied services and all. So like that, for accounting standards development, one institution is formed, that is known as what? The International Accounting Standards Committee, IASC, which came into force on 29th June 1973. Okay, next, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in India, and the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India, this is ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. When we discussed the difference between business, employment, profession. So profession, I told you, chartered accountancy is a profession. So they have to register in a legal body, that is what ICAI. So this is a professional body for in India, Institute of Chartered Accounts of India, and the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants ICWA are associate members of IASC. So this is an international institution. IASC is an international institution. ICAI and ICWA is an Indian institutions. These are Indian institutions. These are the members. These both ICAI and ICWA are the members of the IASC. Okay. And now what is this accounting standard? Account standard means just like some methods, or they will give you how to treat an item, how to maintain the accounts and all. That and all uniform instructions will be given. Just like a teacher how give instruction to the class, the common class, that is applicable for everyone. So just like this, these institutions also developed some standard method or standard treatments for the items that should be followed by all other institutions. Okay, all the institutions. So what is the nature of accounting standards? It lay down the norms of accounting policies and practices. So it is giving you a norms or a method or a model, so that you can follow that accounting policies and practices. So how to treat a particular item. So when sometimes will be confused, इसको ऐसे करना है वैसे करना है, like that any confusions come, so we can refer this accounting standards. It provide uniform accounting rules to all the business organization and ensures comparability. So these accounting rules, whatever accounting rules they are giving, is applicable to all the organizations. That is why we can compare one organization's performance with another organization. Suppose I am doing hotel industry, I can compare my hotel industry with another hotel industry, okay, business, or a textile industry, one textile industry and another textile industry. So we have to compare line of business only. We cannot compare a cement industry with the textile industry. Understood? So that comparability is possible when there is a uniform method. So that uniform method who gives, these institutions are giving, that what they are giving, that only known as what? Accounting standards. It provide accounting treatments for business transaction. Yes. So accounting treatment, how to treat an item, that and all they give you a specific method or specific treatment. This item, depreciation of machines, you have to treat it this way, or cash flow statement prepare like this, fund flow statement prepare like this, like that. No, you they will give you some standard method, so all business can follow that methods. It provides a basis for the preparation of financial statements. Yes. So if we prepare based on these rules and regulations and policies, if we prepared financial statements, we can there will not be any confusions, because we have a standard method. Okay, operating method we have, that is given by accounting standard board. Generally these are accounting laws. So generally, common way, in a general way, what we can say, these are what? Accounting laws. Okay, so understood, no? So these we can say, what do you mean by accounting standard? Mean these are general accounting policies or rules or laws, or it gives you a basis, it provides what? Basis for the preparation of financial statements, and it is accounting laws. So just for your purpose as a 11th standard student, just you should know what it is. Okay, these accounting standards are, so many accounting standards are there, that is given in your textbook. No need to study that and all. That is not there to study. Only just to understand what is accounting standard, who developed this, all those things you understand. Then another thing is, I'm just prepared according to what they asked in the syllabus. Okay, so International Financial Reporting Standards. So IFRS, what is this? This also concerned with accounting standards only. International Financial Reporting Standards. So international means it is related to what other countries also, international. So IFRS, this is known as what? IFRS. IFRS is issued by International Accounting Standard Board. So this IFRS means this also rules, regulations, laws, policies and all there, that is issued by International Accounting Standard Board. Okay. We have accounting standard, Indian Accounting Standard Board also there, International Accounting Standard Board also there. So we can have a look into that. Just like our constitution we have taken from different countries. From Russia we have taken, from Ireland we have taken so many things in our Indian constitutions. Just like that, international level bodies are there, what they are doing in their countries, that what is applicable for us, what we can follow in our country, that also we can take and apply in there. There are 9 accounting standards issued by IFRS. Okay, so IFRS issued 9 accounting standards. This is used by companies all over the world. So these 9 accounting standards, almost in all over the countries, they are using it. Okay, so um, just you should know what is accounting standard, what is IFRS, ICAI, ICWA, all these institutions, they may ask you what it is. So as a 11th class student you should know this. When you go to PG and all, no, in a higher level you will study this. So accounting standards you can refer in your textbook. Accounting standard 1, accounting standard 2, 3, 4, like that. It is numbered and serially numbered and given. What is accounting standard 1, what is accounting standard 2, so the treatment and all. So just the item is mentioned in your book, that just you can go through. Okay, then benefits of IFRS. So what are the benefits? Helpful to enterprises operating globally. So nowadays multinational companies are there. So multinational companies means those companies which are operating more than one countries. So many countries they have branches. Head office will be in one country and they have branches in other countries. So multinational companies, when they operate, they can follow this IFRS method. Helpful to investors. Investor, for the investors also it is very helpful, because they can understand which method of or system of accounting they are following. Helpful to industry, for the whole industry also it is helpful. Then helpful to the accounting professionals, so those who are doing accounting work in the organizations, for them also it is very much helpful. Suppose if I am an accountant, I can follow these accounting standards, and the other country they are also following these accounting standards. So any confusion, any doubts, we can have interaction with one branch to another, we can clarify the doubts also. So in that way it is helpful for the accounting professionals also. Okay, now that is over. So accounting standards, this much you study from textbook. Okay, so many things are there in APC textbook. If you read, so many additional things are given there. They see that is made for even other children also can refer, those who are in degree and all. So it is made like that, but we are studying only the syllabus content what they asked. Okay, next is goods and service tax. So goods and service tax is known as what? GST. Okay, GST is implemented tax. GST, before GST VAT was there, value added tax, that and all tax removed. Now only single tax system is there in our country, that is called what? GST. So what do you mean by GST? GST also, these journal entries, everything is there in the textbook, but for in the last year students they studied all journal entries also, but this year I didn't find anywhere these treatments. If it is coming later in journal entries, we will discuss there. Okay, now we'll discuss only what is GST and the characteristics and objectives. Okay, that is what given in your syllabus. So what do you mean by GST? Meaning we'll see first. So goods and service tax is an indirect tax levied at a prescribed rate on every supply of goods and services except petroleum and alcohol for human consumption. So goods and service tax is an indirect tax. It is not a direct tax. Direct tax means income tax is a direct tax. Income tax means So those salaried people like we and all, whatever income we are earning in a year, so we have to pay tax on our income. So that is directly applied on our income, that is direct tax. But indirect tax is not directly collected from the people, it is charged on some product and they are collecting. So goods and service tax is an indirect tax levied at a prescribed rate on every supply of goods and service except petroleum and alcohol for human consumption. So petroleum and alcohol, it is not charged. For other products they are charging the goods and service tax. It is a nationwide tax seeking to unify several indirect taxes and is based on the principle of one nation, one tax. Okay, so many tax were there that is merged into one tax system. Now one nation, one tax system is prevailing. So there were this only the central level taxes merged into GST. So first there were excise duty, service tax, central sales tax. So these were there in the central level, central government level. Excise duty was there, service tax was there, central sales tax. So these all three now merged into what? One single GST. Okay, this is at the central level. Now state level also so many taxes were there, that also now we can see in what? GST, goods and service tax together. So octroi and entry tax. Octroi means some municipal tax and all, or panchayat tax. Entry tax is when a vehicle with the goods, when it cross one boundary to another state boundary, we have to pay tax. Then purchase tax, entertainment tax, VAT, value added tax, luxury tax, taxes on lottery. So all these taxes now merged into one system, that is GST. Okay. So purchase tax means on purchase of goods. Entertainment tax means what? On cinema theater, on exhibitions, all those things. Then value added tax, that was prevailing system of VAT system before GST. Then luxury tax, on all luxury items we have to pay tax. Then taxes on lottery and all, if we win we have to pay tax on that. Now these different taxes are not there, only one tax rate is there. Tax means only one tax system is there. Now what is the characteristics of GST? So GST, first characteristic, it is an indirect tax, already I told you. Then uniform GST rates. So there is only one or a rate system is prevailing, 12% and 18%, like that. One common GST rate for almost all the items, one category of items. Then next one, you see, GST paid is not a cost. Okay, suppose I am running a business. So first I have to purchase goods from someone. So when I purchase goods, I have to pay tax to that person. So okay, so that paid, whatever GST I am paying to that person, to my supplier. Remember, I am seller. I purchased from someone. So that person is my supplier. So to that person, when I purchase goods, he will charge tax from me. Okay, so that tax is called what? GST paid. So that GST paid is not a cost for the seller. With example I will explain. It is known as input GST. So whatever cost tax we pay, that is known as input GST. Remember this word. Okay, then when I sell this product to my customers, I collect a tax from them. That is known as what? Output GST. So GST paid is known as input GST and GST collected is known as output GST. Okay, so GST is a value added tax. So value added means in the total price the tax also included. So one example I tell you, if A purchases goods for rupees 1 lakh and sold it for rupees 1 lakh 50,000, GST rate is 12%. Okay, so then this case, how what is input GST and output GST, just will check. So what is the purchase price? Purchased for 1 lakh, sold it for 1 lakh 50,000, means 50,000 profit he earned, and he paid tax rate applicable both in the case of purchase and sale is 12%. Okay, single rate, that is called a single rate system. Now we'll see. Okay, so here I write. So when I purchased, how much I purchased? Purchasing time I purchased for 1 lakh. Okay, so 1 lakh, for 1 lakh 12 percentage tax I paid. So 1 lakh 12 percentage means 12,000 tax I paid. So how much I paid? 1 lakh 12,000 I paid while purchasing. Okay, so I sold it sales for rupees 1,50,000. So while selling, I collect whatever I paid, that I collect from my customers. Anyway, tax will be charged on, ultimately customer has to bear. So here, so when I collect this tax from my customer, so again 12% only. So 1,50,000 is 12%. That will come how much? 18,000. Sorry, 10 more. 18,000. You see here, this tax 12,000 what I paid when on purchase. This is paid GST. That is called what? Input GST. Okay, input GST. What I collected from my customer when I sold goods, that is called what? Output GST. Okay, so 1 lakh rupees product I sold for 1,50,000. 1 lakh rupees product, my GST I paid is 12,000. But on sales I charged 18,000 GST. You see here. So this 12,000 I got back or not? Yes, I received back from my customer, and 6,000 more is there. This 6,000 extra tax that this seller has to pay to the government. Okay, so whatever he paid on his product when he purchased, that is 12,000, that is set off, and remaining 6,000. So from 18,000, that 12,000 set off, and remaining 6,000 he has to pay to the government, okay, as sales tax. Understood? So now sales tax, it's a different, separate is not there. This is what GST only. So in each and every level they are paying tax, but uniform rate is applied. Okay, so central GST is there, state level GST also there. So you remember, whatever we pay tax, that is input GST. When we collect that GST from customer, that is known as output GST. So GST is not a cost. Why? Anyway, we will collect it back from the customer. Suppose I am paying 10 rupee tax today, tomorrow I will be collecting 12 rupee. It is for 10 rupee, I will be collecting it as 12 rupee from the customer. So 10 rupee mine I adjust, and the remaining 2 rupee, that extra amount I have to pay to the government. Okay, so this is the system now. Okay, now we'll go to objectives of GST. So detailed things and all no need to study now. If you study also now, you will not understand anything. So that and all later we'll study. Okay, so objectives of GST. What are the objectives of GST? Decrease in the cost of goods. Cost of goods will decrease. That is one objective. And so the cost of goods will decrease since tax on tax is eliminated in GST regime. Okay, here only once only they are paying tax, and टैक्स ऑन टैक्स टैक्स एक बार टैक्स दे दिया, फिर उसके बाद फिर से देना है, दैट टैक्स सिस्टम इज नॉट देयर. सो कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स विल डिक्रीज. Okay, so when VAT was there, value added tax was there, on each and every stage we have to pay, we have to pay tax. But now only one stage you have to pay tax. Understood? So that is why it reduce what? The cost of goods. Okay, then ease of doing business. So business करने के लिए easy है. So ease of doing business. So in pre-GST period, means GST आने के पहले, there were multiple types of tax, indirect tax, excess duty, sales tax, service tax, etc. So because of that, business was required to register itself separately under each such act. So business को एक्साइज ड्यूटी के अंडर रजिस्टर करना है, सेल्स टैक्स के अंडर रजिस्टर करना है, सर्विस टैक्स के अंदर रजिस्टर करना है. Like that they had to register under a different tax system. But now it is only one system. So for that it made the business become very easy, doing business very easy. Then developing common national market. So GST is levied at the same rate on similar goods and services across all state and union territories. So any state you go, all the states you can see that the GST, the tax rate is same. State tax is same for all state. Central tax is different. For example, electronic goods sold across India are levied at the rate of 18%. It has developed a common national market. So in all over India, wherever you go and purchase electronic products, the tax rate or the tax you have to pay is 18%. So wherever in which any state you go, you have to pay 18% only. So that is common national market it is creating. Then reduction in tax evasion. Tax evasion means some people purposefully cheat the government in payment of tax, so that we can avoid through this system of tax. Okay, GST is administered through computer system, so electronic filing of return. So everyone has to file their return or income tax details to income tax authorities and government through computer filing. So here tax evasion or purposefully avoiding tax, that is known as what? Tax evasion, that is not possible. The next advantage is or objective is, advantage also we can say this, goods becoming cheaper. So the goods are becoming cheaper. There were many indirect taxes. So पहले तो many taxes were there. If you purchase a product, you have to pay that tax, this tax, like that. So many taxes were there. Now only one single tax system you have to follow. So goods value is reduced. That only decrease in the cost of goods already we told. Then attracting foreign investment. So foreign people, other countries are attracted to India because the tax system, whatever in when they compare their country's tax system and our country's tax system, they may find it very less tax in our country, so that foreign investment we can attract, and foreign countries, other countries may invest in our country, so that we will be getting foreign currencies and India will develop also. Then tax system become more transparent, regular and predictable. Now no one can cheat the government. It is all the activities under this system is very transparent and regular and predictable. So what will be the tax rate or how much it will be, everything predictable, like we can say in advance or we can foresee that. So these are the advantages or objectives. Advantages, objectives, both are same only. Okay, so anyway question come, you can write this. So these are the things you have to study for GST. So जो ये GST इतना ही है, बाद में journal entries में है तो हम पढ़ेंगे उधर. So now you understand this much. Okay, so this much only for today. If any doubts, if we can discuss in our classes. Okay, thank you so much. Bye, take care.